What up, party people? It's Miss Laureen and this is
Keela.
Keela is going to tell you about our very special camp coming up on November 4th through 6th. Where are we going? What is it?
We're going to Sierra Nevada Journeys to do all these cool things like mock trail walks, and so much more.
What's so funny is you didn't even tell them where we was going. We're going to Camp Hack the Woods 3, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We got to throw that in there.
Yeah.
So if you want to know more information, you can join us this Thursday for Camp Info Night. I believe it's starting at 6, right?
Yeah, okay.
It is. So 6. Make sure if you want to join us on the 4th that you get registered and we get those waivers in. And then we will see you on Thursday to tell you more about Camp Hack the Woods 3 and to answer your questions. So see you on Thursday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Peace.
Baby.
We in here. Yeah, we in here. 'Cause we been.
Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
We in here. Yeah, we in here.
Black versus the Board of Education.
Cause we came here, rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here. Cause we came here, rid of us now. And you know that we don't ever go to cause we been here.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
Happy Monday. It is Black versus the Board of Education. My name is Miss Laureen, your hostess with the mostest, and I welcome you into this space as usual. But before we get the conversation started, you know how we do. We got to kick it to the co-hosts for their introduction. So for today, I want to start with Sam. Go on and pull Sam up. Hey, Sam, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Samuel. I am 12. I'm in 6th grade. I like the Warriors.
I'm going to need a little more personality because it's Monday and you know how everybody gets down on Monday. People are not quite awake and we're going to wake them up real quick. So let me go ahead and pass it over to Miss Jada.
Hey y'all, my name is Jada. I am a homeschooled senior here in the Elk Grove area, and it's so good to be back. Can't wait to talk about today.
Awesome. And Jalen bringing up the rear. Go ahead and say, hey.
Hello, my name is Jalen. I am a college student, and I'm excited for today's topics.
You are excited. Well, I certainly hope you're excited because we have a lot to talk about. And I was going to wait to introduce our guest, but I want to bring you into the conversation because it's important since you're sitting here that we don't leave you out. So please go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Tamiko Heim. I'm a candidate for District 5 Sacramento City Council.
Hey, there you go. That's the right way to welcome them here to Black versus the Board of Education. And today we're talking about civic engagement and our responsibility. And I think it's only fitting that we have someone running for office that's looking for some votes so we can talk about our responsibility and how we engage in that process. But before we do that, we have a few things that we need to clear off the calendar because I neglected to do them last week. I want to send a very happy 18th birthday to our one of our techs behind the scenes, Adrian. He celebrated his 18th birthday last week on the 17th. So happy birthday to Adrian. Jada, you and I, along with Miss Kayla, we went in Nevaeh. Okay, yes. We went down to the Black Open House at Berkeley. Come on, tell me something good about it.
Something that was really good about it was the fact that I know that a lot of UCs have a very small Black population because all the Black people like to go over to HBCUs. But what I liked about UC Berkeley specifically was that it was a UC where the Black community was more connected. I met with a lot of Black girls who were talking about their experience as Black students on UC Berkeley. They had a lot of issues they talked about, but they had a lot of ups. And I think what made me want to go there was how close and tight-knit they were. I think that's because they were such a small community. And once you find your people, you kind of want to stay with your people. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I look forward to filling out my application, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, shout out to Michaela and Trinity and Shanice, because they came from Black Youth Leadership Project and they're working with the BRRC, and I don't know what the acronym is right off the top of my head because I forgot. But they are there, and I know Michaela is working on K through 12 recruitment. And so the way that they took in the girls from BYLP and kind of showed them around, they got to tour the dorms. They went to...
They had such beautiful dorms. Oh, they were so pretty.
I mean, I guess. I mean,
they
I've
were
been
really
to
nice.
dorms. You know,
They were
I'm like,
nice.
who gonna pay for this?
Right. That's why I said expensive. What's the food
Well,
plan like?
they were in
Right.
they were in the suites, and so I guess for freshman living there were certain floors depending on certain ethnicities. So they were on the Afro floor, which is quite funny because a lot of white people like to request to be on the Afro floor when they have everywhere else to be. So you know, just
Okay.
white people invading black spaces again. That's
Okay.
new.
Well, shout out to all 89 of those freshmen on the Afro floor that have at least 4 of our girls from BYOP representing. So we're very, very proud of them. And Jalen, this weekend, we was seeing each other all weekend. Oh my goodness. Come on, tell me something
Yeah.
that happened this week.
We had 2 different trainings. Thursday we had our CPR training, so we are all CPR certified.
CPR and AED.
Oh.
Come on. Don't forget that because we sat here.
Talk about it.
We gotta,
Yeah.
put that together. All
That's
right.
us.
Uh-huh.
And then Friday and Saturday we had all day youth peer mentor training. So we're all youth peer mentor
Facilitator training.
Facilitators. So basically what we can do is we can facilitate youth peer mentor groups, and just some of the topics that we talked about and just seeing everybody so vulnerable. It was a new way to see the team, and it was great conversations that we had. Everybody was able to express and everybody felt comfortable enough to share their vulnerabilities with each other.
And
made
cry.
us more.
So just real quick, shout out to Tevin who made the girls cry.
Yeah.
All of them at the same time. He gonna give us some type of I knew that was coming because they had made a bet, and they said that Tevin would be the one who wouldn't be able to facilitate a meditation or meditation. I'm sorry. And he came through and had all the girls crying. So shout out to Tevin. They had to eat crow.
Yes, they did.
So, we're going to switch gears because we like to include our guests. And so we just met Ms. Heim.
Yes.
You are running for Sacramento City Council. So tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from?
Where I'm from Sacramento, born and
Okay.
raised is where I spent my days.
Uh-oh, come on.
I am from Lincoln Village. Actually, I'm from East and the South. My other side of the family lived in the South side, so I am used to these streets.
Okay. All right. She said she got a little street cred in space.
Just a little.
Uh-huh. And so tell me, why did you want to run for city council?
It's funny. This is a long process. I never actually saw myself running for anything. I've always worked behind the scenes and working with different people, working with kids, working with different friends who had different programs, pushing them forward. Was on different boards, just working with women, make sure women had their voices heard, all these things in political world and all kinds of stuff. Even working at the polls, making sure people voted. And so this past year, because I'm an active transportation commissioner, I was on a call with the council member staff, just talking about active transportation. And we were talking about the redistricting of the District 5. And they were telling me there's the person who I was going to support is no longer running anymore. And I was like, oh, wow.
And who was that? So, because I'm nosy.
At the time, it was Kendra Reed. She is a planning commissioner.
Okay.
And so for me, that was kind of devastating because, we are a diverse community. And so I really wanted to see someone of some type of ethnic background just really working for that community. And then when I saw the redistrict, when I saw the lines and where they went to, like the furthest street being Valley High Drive, I knew that I needed to jump in this race because I knew that area. I know the people. I worked in some of these streets. And so I wanted to make sure that they were represented well.
Awesome. And so, Samuel, do you have a question? I want to make sure we pull you in too. Do you have a question?
Yes. So my first question is, what are your principles or principle in your campaigning, and what is like your most important value in your campaign?
So when you're saying, are you asking my top 3 things, what I really truly want to do for the districts?
I'm asking like, what values do you pride yourself on?
Of my values. So my values is always family. And so with family, for me, that means community, right? So, like I said earlier, I'm from Lincoln Village, and Lincoln Village is truly a family. When I was growing up, there was only so many Black families, and we all knew each other, and nobody went hungry. So, so when I decided to run for the council, it just so happened to be not too far after my mom had passed away. And then when my sister and I were doing my mom's funeral and her repast, Lincoln Village came through for me. They came, they put food, they cleaned my house, anything that I needed, they came through and did it. And so I wanted to make sure that I was in the best position to give back to the community that I currently live. And so that's what really truly pushed me even more.
Are you still in Lincoln Village right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
But everybody has moved because of displacement. Majority of the family members that lived in Lincoln Village, because of the Mather Air Force Base closing, have all dispersed around town. And so, you know, my neighbors currently are my village. You know, somebody actually tagged my fence the other day. And so one of my neighbors came through, cleaned my fence. Somebody ran into my fence. Another neighbor sent someone to fix my fence. So that, to me, that's community. So
are you on a corner?
Mm-hmm.
You must be.
Mm-hmm. So I got a lot of fence line.
Yeah, yeah.
So community shows up, and so I wanted to be the one to show up for them as well.
Okay,
That's what's up.
Miss Jada.
Huh. Oh, I was just saying that was what's up. You know, I feel like community is a big thing, and I feel like a lot of people who put themselves in higher positions of powers sort of forget where they came from and sort of forget their community. And I think that it's really cool how you want to exhibit that same care and love that your community showed you.
Absolutely.
And you want to give back. And I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I'm, like I mentioned earlier, that I'm on a commission. I'm an active transportation commissioner.
Mhm.
And how that started was simply because I moved into the community and a friend of mine wanted to get across the street to Curtis Park. And we didn't have a crosswalk. We had one, they took it away, and it just wasn't safe. And so we decided to start a neighborhood association. We then partnered with the children's home, then partnered with a PBID, which is a business district, the Franklin Business District, and bugged the current council member's office until we got that crosswalk. And we wanted the fancy one. We want the lights flashing and everything because Sutterville is busy.
It is.
And so in order for my community, who does not have a park, to get into Curtis Park, we needed that crosswalk. And so we got the crosswalk. And so from then, that's when I ended up on the commission.
Well, it just seems weird. Why wouldn't you have a crosswalk? Like some of the things that we take for granted, we don't realize how important they are until they're not there.
Exactly.
And so what you're showing by what you just described is civic participation.
Exactly.
You held the person who is responsible for that area. You held them accountable until you got what you needed, and we need to see more of that. Jalen, do you have a question?
I do. So what area is District 5?
Oh, it's crazy now.
Okay.
So now we would say District 5 is from Oak Park,
Okay.
like up to like the 50, all the way to like Valley High Drive. But because there was some etch-a-sketch stuff going on, it curves in and out, and we kind of ride the county and the freeway all the way down. We even have, oh, you guys are kind of young. Remember Cowsgate? Simmons
I know
Center?
Cowsgate.
Yeah.
I think.
No, you don't.
I think
That's in the district now.
Oh, it wasn't before. then.
No, that
Oh.
was District 8. So we used to include places like Curtis Park, Lamb Park, and some of Tahoe Park. But now we have a lot of Franklin Boulevard, which is a lot of the Najee Parkway. Now it's Phoenix Park, and some of that area that was not in the district at all.
And
And
I
so we
thought it
go a
said
lot
North
south.
Laguna.
North Laguna, yes, which is, think about how far that is from Oak Park.
I know. I'm just like North
Yeah.
Laguna. So that must not be part of Elk Grove City.
No.
So where does North Laguna stop at? I mean,
I could
I'm
pull
just
up a
trying-
map, but it's like one of those things, like no joke. It is truly one of those things where if you are not, and this is another way to really truly get engaged in your civic duties, right? The city has a tons of boards and commissions, But in this case, when they did the redistricting, this was done by another party. And so these were volunteer people who went in and decided to do redistricting. So it could have been anybody. Random people decided to volunteer and they drew these maps. And so they cut up parts of Meadowview, parts of Valley High, and as you can see now, Laguna, and put them all into District 5, which it would never have been in before.
And so when you say that, when you talk about redistricting, you know, a couple of weeks ago there was some audio that was leaked out of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
With their Los Angeles councilman.
Yeah.
And what you heard was a lot of anti-blackness, a lot of going after marginalized groups. And so they were doing it to make sure that they could retain the voting power in that district. So when you're talking about they got real etch and sketch, is, I mean, and of course I don't want to assume people's motives, but when you say they got etch and sketch, that's what you're kind of describing.
Yeah, because really I don't want to assume their motives either, and I don't know necessarily know all the people, all the players in the room, but just for me being from Sacramento and me knowing these communities, I would have never put these communities together.
Okay. Samuel says he has another question.
Okay, my question was, I know you said because the candidate you wanted to vote for dropped out, so you decided to run. But what was your drive to get into politics?
My drive, just truly giving back to the community. I was born and raised in Sacramento, and I raised my daughter here. Like you, she went on a college tour years ago, though. She went to University of Kansas.
Ooh,
And then
Jayhawks.
Jayhawks, yes.
Rock Chalk.
And then
Okay.
she went off to Boston, went to Simmons for graduate school. So I raised my daughter here. She is actually graduated from the only Sacramento City School, you know, dependent charter in District 5 currently, which is New Technology.
Okay.
So she graduated from New Technology, and you know, I raised her here. I had Head Start. I did Start. So I know after school programs. I know the needs of those things. I know what it is to live in this city. I know how hard it is to get around this city. If you are a person who, like for myself, I worked for the state for 20 years, and parking downtown when I used to be an account clerk too was expensive. So I would have to drive my daughter to someone's house and then get on a bus to, you know, get downtown so I didn't have to pay to park. And I just want to make that stuff better. It's just has to be more manageable for us. And if we want to continue on this train of making things equitable, we have to look at things like that.
Yeah. And, you know, I like to kind of push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
So kind of walk with me real quick. So a lot of times I see that there are Black candidates who run and then they get into position and they start acting funny. And you can't get a hold of them. They don't think that they're beholden to the community. They think that Black constituents treat them harsher than their counterparts. And so my question to you would be, if you were to be elected into this position, what type of access would the community be able to hold you to, right? And the second part to that is, when Black folks come to you and they tell you that you acting funny, what will your response then be?
Well, one thing is access to me is not hard. My phone number is on the website. So anybody want to get a hold of me, they can. And I joke that I'm Kevin Bacon. I am 7 degrees from somebody. Anybody can get a hold of me any kind of way. And I have anybody can tell me I'm acting funny and I'll reevaluate myself. I don't take that personally. Good. As long as it's not in disrespect, I don't take it personally because I am from Lincoln Village. So as long as you ain't disrespecting me, then hey, I'll take it. I have no problems.
And it's just funny because I spent 16 years at the state capitol. Right?
Yeah.
And I've watched Black elected officials basically hold Black staff to different levels of accountability. I've watched them actively not hire Black staff. I've watched them talk down on Black folks. And so what type of office are you hoping to craft once you get in there, or if you get in there? What is your hiring going to look like?
So my district is very diverse. So I expect my office to look like my district. Honestly, I expect my staff to look like my district. I expect it to represent my district. And with the etch a sketch of the district, the numbers are all over the place. But I look to pretty much mirror my district.
Okay, and that's fair. It just seems like when we're talking about the office makeups, it just seems like it's the same people getting recycled over and over again. We're looking for people with specific, experience, because a lot of times what we think, or what I've seen, is that elected officials, especially the ones that come to the Capitol, they don't know what they don't know. And so they tend to recycle the same staff over again to help get them up to speed. Do you think you're up to speed enough, or would you need to rely on that type of pipeline to operate your office?
Well, with the city, of course, you won't, because I'm coming from state service and going into local. I will need some help, but at the same time, everybody's going to have a transitioning process. I think that I am going to need some transition, but as far as getting up to speed on, I know what it looks like to how after schooling looks. I know what a budget looks like because I was a budget analyst for years. I know how infrastructure should look like because I'm currently an infrastructure planner. So, I may be coming into city politics with a handicap, but I definitely can jump right in.
Jada, you have a question?
One that sat in the back of my mind. It's not coming to the front. Come back to me. I have it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
What will be your biggest thing that you want to change?
Change. I think the biggest thing for me, especially coming out of COVID, is really focusing on how to upskill people and make sure they have that digital divide, like get that digital divide down. We have a lot of people who dropped off of the workforce because they didn't have access. I even had a staff member that I had to find a computer for, a laptop for, when we had to go home from the state. So I truly want to partner with different programs in order to make sure that we have that under control, so that when we're going for these workshops and I have these different employers coming in helping people get their jobs, I want to make sure that they're fully prepared. So economics is key to me. Getting people jobs is key to me. So just making sure that we have that together.
The question that came to my mind, it's a two-part question. That's okay. My first question would be, what are some things that you notice that is wrong that's happening in the Black community, and what do you have control over that you can change about that?
One of the things I noticed is we don't talk about money. Right?
Yeah.
We don't talk about money.
Why do you think that is?
Why is because I think there's trauma associated with us talking about money.
Or we don't have none.
Well, I think sometimes we have it and we just don't know how to apply it.
Interesting. Okay. Tell me more.
I think we have a hard time focusing on home ownership sometimes, and we go towards other things when we could be homeowners, and we just don't know because we don't talk about money.
I think I will respectfully disagree on that point. I think that we can't talk about home ownership if we don't have the money or the credit. There's some people
that's because we don't talk about money
in college when they first got there, because nobody told
talk
them
about money,
about those interest rates and how that would negatively impact them.
Right.
I think that a lot of times the conversation of money has to go back to systemically what has happened around money. And about access for Black people to certain resources. So when you have programs like the new homeowners, home buyers, or whatever that was, first time home buyers programs, or you have other things. We have to understand that historically, those programs were reserved for other people, not really Black people.
True.
And so I understand the point about not talking about money. We haven't had the education around money, but we're also at a bottom caste in this society and in this country.
I agree.
Because of the wealth gap. And so we can't have conversations about money when you don't have money and you're not making money on the level of other folks to afford the things that people are telling you are part of the American dream when they've never really seen you as American.
But I will say this. At the age of 26, I bought my first home. Only reason why I bought the home is because I thought everybody should be buying home, because most of my family owned homes, right? I just thought it was a thing to do.
Saw it.
I saw it. Okay. I thought it was a thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have the conversation about how to do it. I just thought about I was supposed to do it. Had I had the conversation, I could have avoided some of my interest rates being higher, because I would have known the conversation about the credit. I would have known how to manage credit card debt. I would have known all that, but we didn't talk about that. I just know that you're supposed to own, right?
Right.
So what I did differently with my daughter is I started that conversation early. What I think is, of course, I think we should have more in-depth stuff about this in school, but 100%. At the same time, I started that conversation early with my daughter. So because I started the conversation early with her, and then she went to things like Black Chamber of Commerce's entrepreneur program, and they have those talks about credit and all that good stuff. She looks at money differently. So she knows, because she's an author and she's got a deal. So she knows, oh, I have an agent. I have to get an accountant. I have to get a financial advisor. But had we not had those conversations early, had she not been exposed to certain things,
exposure, yep,
she wouldn't have been able to do that. And had I not seen home ownership or known that I could ask for that home ownership or purchase a home, then I would not have done it.
Right.
And so first time home buyer programs are always there. Your lender tells you about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to seek them. So I just think conversations about money should start early, so that we're all exposed and we can do better.
Right.
And I think that conversations like these, though they should also be encouraged within the household, they should also be encouraged in schools.
Absolutely.
They don't talk a lot about this. And so we kind of they like to prepare us for the academic future, but they don't like to prepare us for the future as a whole.
Right.
They kind of just send off young adults in there to just figure it out along the way while they're in their young adulthood, when it should be something that's taught early, so that when they get into the young adulthood, they're not confused, they're not asking questions. They should have a good gist of how to figure it out.
Exactly. Because when my daughter went to KU and they came with that credit card statements and say, hey, you can get this, you can get that. If you sign up for this credit card, she already had in her mind, okay, wait a minute, credit card, my credit, all this stuff is circling for her. Because we had the conversation early. She was exposed to different programs in Sacramento. And so conversation was different for her.
Gotcha. Sam is trying to jump in here. Okay. I'm sorry, Sam, go ahead.
So my second question was, in one word, how would you describe the city of Sacramento, and how would you like to change it?
Ooh, he gave you one word.
One word.
Pick wisely. Pick wisely.
I can't even think of one word. Man.
Sacramento.
One word.
We're going to let you think about it.
Yeah.
We're going to let her think about it. It's hard to put Sacramento in one word.
Sacramento is something, man.
You said something? That's your one word?
That's our one word.
You got to talk about parts.
What part are we talking about exactly?
And I just want to acknowledge the comments that are in our chat. We do see you. I love that, making life better for those striving to survive. Absolutely. And my 24-year-old just said last week, high has taught me nothing to survive. Oh, high school, I'm assuming. High school.
It hasn't.
So you think of your word. You think of your word, because Sam's going to expect an answer. Sam's going to expect an answer. I remember in elementary school they were teaching money. You know, you used to count money
For math, yeah.
They brought us checks. They showed us how to write checks. We could deposit them in the class bank. And
Y'all got checks?
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We did.
Yeah, we could buy stuff.
I remember that. Yeah.
We only got
But
dollars.
my understanding
Yeah, that's what I had. Dollars.
remained very elementary, but I was always good at budgeting.
Mm.
And so I agree that conversation needs to be had. But I also want us to be very, very clear about the landscape of what generational wealth looks like and how we don't have any.
But that needs to be a part of the conversation.
And
that
so
needs
does
to be taught in
reparations.
history.
Yeah.
History class
but
needs
and I
that.
agree with that too.
Absolutely.
But that needs to be a part of the conversation. I
Right.
think no conversation about money it has to start with why.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to. So we
yeah.
were basically saying almost the same thing.
Yeah.
The conversation is needed, but the why has to be understood as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And The Color of Money is a great book. If anybody wants to go out and read that, The Color of Money, Black Banks in the American System.
One United. No.
Come on, Black Bank. Come on, Black Bank. I hear you. Sam
I got
is
on
still
that
waiting
train.
on that
Okay,
one word.
one word. Gosh.
If you had to pick a word for Sacramento, Miss Tamiko is.
I got it.
Oh, you got it.
Okay, good. Because I
Okay.
was
It's about to be pretty simple, but I'm gonna say growing.
Huh.
Oh, that's nice.
And
Okay.
but I'm gonna give you in different aspects. Growing in knowledge, growing in capacity, and growing in just craziness.
I would say growing in the murder rate.
No, you
because-
got a point. I'm not
because
gonna
it's
hold
exploding right now, and
Yeah.
I was going to segue into this, but that was just a nice way. So
you. Growing in
so
how?
the murder rate is
Yeah.
growing in Sacramento.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot of things that could be attributed to.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about that? And not only that, so the murder rate in the community is growing,
Mhm.
but we're also seeing last week, I believe, one of the sheriff deputies also killed a father who was having a mental or a mental breakdown or a mental episode. So you're seeing death all around you. What are you attributing that to, and what are you, should you be elected, going to advocate for?
So, couple of things. A lot of times murder and robbery, some of that all goes hand in hand. So it has to do with money. I don't know why money is on the top of my mind, but that's what it goes into. It goes into the economics of things. And when you don't have it, you go get it. And when your communities are disturbed, meaning when you are shifted or displaced, you're trying to fight for that block. So there's a number of things that are happening, that have been happening over the years, and that's why our murder rate is rising. To me, as far as the sheriff's deputy is concerned, we continuously have issues with trying to find the balance of mental care and police. And for me, it's about accountability. It's about prevention. It's about just trying to figure out how do we collect this data so that we're making sure that we're doing the right things when it comes to individuals that are having these episodes. There's a number of issues that go into that, which what the police say, we all say, but we all need to have this conversation and come together and really truly work to solve some of these problems. What I've been doing since, even though there's been a lot of unrest on the street, is weekly I've been doing the peace walks in Oak Park. As I've been knocking on some of these doors on the weekend, I've heard a lot of community members say they would like to see something like that in their neighborhoods, like to see it expanded, because when you're on the streets, it's just less likely for people to be where you are, right? If you're constantly moving around, if you're constantly, seeing movement and liveliness happening, less people are likely to do something in your vicinity. So how would I like to see it continue when I'm in office? Of course, talk to the individuals, talk to the different community-based organizations, see how they want to move forward, how they're moving now, and how can we help. Talk with the police. How are you moving? How are you working with these community-based organizations? Let's work together. Talk with the police commission, because we also have a police commission. What are you seeking to make this accountability from the police work? How do we put some teeth in this commission? All that stuff. That's what I'm looking to do.
And that was going to be my next question. Has there been teeth added to the commission yet?
Not I don't see it, but I have been talking on offline with some other folks to see how that can be done.
Gotcha. And it's so interesting. And so I want to welcome those who just joined. We are Black versus the Board of Education. We're talking about civic engagement and our responsibility. Our special guest today is Miss Tamiko Heim. She is running for Sacramento City Council District 5. All right. And so, it's just very, very interesting the time that we're living in right now. We're seeing a lot of frustration on the streets. We're seeing a lot of frustration at the school level, right, with the school board. And we're trying to figure out, how can we stop this hemorrhaging? It seems like the people that are in place right now are not listening to the community. It seems that folks forget that they work for the community and not for themselves. And then they get somebody like us coming in the door, and we trying to steamroll everybody. So I want to actually bring up this clip from one of the school board meetings that we went to last week. And I'm just going to bring it back to the room. I want to get your opinion on it. And yeah, we're going to talk about it. So Tevin, could you play that clip, please?
You want to cut me off? There's no time. You guys are into gifts, right? You guys got your gifts. This is my gift right here. My son is still here. You guys should be happy about that. But you guys haven't even told to check on anything. So how do you think that makes parents feel? Look at these parents that are in here, that are sitting here to come to address stuff that's going on with their child or with their school or with this, with racism, everything else. We send our kids to school and we expect them to be safe.
So that is the father of the young man, the young boy. I keep trying to adultify people. We're going to stop that.
Yes.
The boy from Monterey Trail High School. He was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher twice and then kicked in the face. Nobody called his parent. And that was his father's first time going to the school board meeting with me. And so a lot of times we bring parents into the room. We're trying to tell them, your voice matters. Your voice is one of the strongest things that you have to affect change, right? And so I'm trying to figure out, why do we have to show up in that way in order to get somebody to listen? And the frustration that he had, I thought he was going to knock me over. He was real strong with that swoop back, and I'm trying to get out of his way, but the pain is palpable. And what I'm understanding from our community is Black people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so when you see the emotions of parents or community members coming because they feel like nobody cares, what would you say to them makes you different?
Well, I know where they're coming from. I mean, my daughter wasn't harmed physically, but I know how it feels to not be heard by your principal. I know what it is not to be heard by your vice principal. The reason why my daughter went to new technology is because I had to take her out of Kennedy. I had issues with the staff. I had one of the teachers, and not to take away from what he's saying, one of the teachers didn't even want to call my daughter by her name, wanted to make up a name for her. And I'm gonna just tell you, my daughter's name is Ariel. So I don't know how hard that could be.
It's not.
But
what she want to call her?
He was calling her something odd her name. It wasn't disrespectful. It was just, I mean, what I mean is it was disrespectful. Yeah. He didn't call her name, but it wasn't like he wasn't calling her like the
out
B
of her
word
name,
or something
basically.
crazy.
Yeah.
He was just calling her something other than her name. And so I had to go to the school And I telling y'all I'm from Lincoln Village. And I was like, so what, you want to call her Kunta? Because I mean, you wanted to call her Toby because her name is Kunta. Like, I was trying to figure out how is this okay? How is this, how are we supposed to get to the next point from this? And they didn't think it was that big of a deal. And the next thing that flipped me off was when the vice principal told her, she went to a Black Student Union conference. I sent her with a note because I dropped her off at the conference. And the vice principal told her it wasn't going to be excused because she was lying. She didn't go to the conference and she was just making it up. And so I had to then call, and then they didn't want to call me back. So then I got to go out, take my time off and go up there. But then she finally called me back. And I was like, you're lucky you caught me before I got on campus. And I said, I'm going to need you to go and apologize to my daughter because you shouldn't be telling no student that they're lying, especially when I gave her a note. My number was on there. You could have called me and you decided not to.
Right.
And so my daughter then calls me crying, saying, well, Miss, I can't even think of her name, called me. She came and hugged me and apologized. But
the damage was
done,
Right.
just like this young boy here. If he didn't have the father that he had to go up to the school and advocate for him, if my daughter didn't have the mother that she had to advocate for her, then she would be lost. They would both be lost in this system.
Right.
And there's nobody to even show for it, nothing to show for it.
Right.
And they didn't care. So me personally, I can say, I see you. I know where you are. And if someone needs me to stand by and just be there to stand and hold you up, I can do that. Now, there's a school board. I can't do anything other than be an advocate for you.
Yeah. Because that's two different sets of power, two different rules of engagement. Right. But we're seeing it more and more. And so by the time, elections come around, people are pretty much sick of everybody. They don't want to engage. Because they've been let down so many times. So if people are sitting on the sidelines and they're looking at your name and your opponent's name, what sets you apart from your opponent?
Mainly, actually having experience in the city, actually being from here, having 2 decades in government, understanding the ways of this city, knowing how to get a hold of people. I mean, I joke that I'm connected and I can get around, but I have a lot of family members. I truly want to see I truly want Sacramento to be better. I have nieces and nephews, cousins that I truly need this city to be good for them. So that is my whole goal. I don't have any kind of, I want to be mayor, I want to be a Senate person. No, I don't have none of that. I want to make this city better for people who look like me and for the people in my district. Period.
Period. Poo. Jada, do you have any? So when you see the video of Mr. Kwame at the school board meeting, what goes through your mind as a student? Because she also was taken out of Monterey Trail. She was taken out of Monterey Trail. And so as you were watching Mr. Curry, what goes through your mind?
I think I had sat and watched this with my mother. I wanted to cry, but I didn't because I didn't feel like crying in front of my mom. But I didn't want to cry in front of my mom. But it was very emotional. And I think what really hit was when he said, we could be talking about my kid like in a past tense. Like he could not be here with me right now. And I was like, that is factual. And the fact that something like he had to go through something like this, that his son had to go through something like this on your campus, and you guys are letting it go as if it was nothing, that's scary as a Black kid on the campus. Absolutely. Because it shows that you have no regard for me or my safety, my life for that matter. He could have died and nobody shows any regard. And he's talking about how, oh, they didn't, you didn't call to check in on how we're doing, etc., etc. but you like to talk about, oh, we took it, like the campuses love to talk about, oh, we're there for the families right away, and we make sure that we set up plans pronto as soon. Like, don't lie to the public. I think there's a phrase, what, you're saving face. Like, don't lie to the public when you have a family who's hurting and you have a family who's coming to you and they're feeling ignored. And I feel like it's a slap in the face personally when somebody tells me that my voice is the strongest thing, yet it keeps getting disregarded so many times, because it feels like it's supposed to, but the people who are in charge, who have that ability to change and use my voice to change however they're doing their things, they're not listening to me. And so people like to tell me that my voice is important, but if nothing is coming out of it, it just makes me feel, it just like a slap in the face. Like, what can I do at this point? So yeah, watching that was very emotional. I could only imagine if that was my kid. I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah.
No.
I'm gonna throw it to Sam. Sam, watching that little clip, because we could have played longer, because he actually went on time. He went overtime, but they were so concerned with him going overtime that they kept cutting him off.
They kept cutting him. Oh my
but
hate
that was
that.
the first time he had come. He had gotten up the strength to come to a board meeting, and they indulged him maybe for 4 or 5 minutes. But they were like, "We really need you to sit down. We really need."
Did anybody come to him after?
We'll talk about that.
Oh.
Samuel.
Okay. What I feel about that as a student, I'm like, so you didn't even reach out. So you didn't say anything. You were like, hey, is he okay? Hey, is he doing? No, you just said, hey, can we just ignore this and just leave it alone and hope it goes away? I mean, like, we can put out a statement and then, like, can we just leave
A public statement.
Quick side note. I'm tired of those school statements. Well, we don't condone this.
Right.
We don't condone that. It's just like it's the same wording every single time. We don't condone this or that. We don't condone this. This isn't our part of our character. Nobody cares. Of course, if it's not a part of your character, it shouldn't happen on campus.
Right. It's like they all have the same phrase. It's like they were each given the same script and they're each reading from it every time. We don't condone this. This never happens. Don't say never, because it just happened. So what are we going to do to fix it? And I think that seeing a black man in general break down like that, because when you see the black community, I see black men as something powerful. When my dad cries, it makes me emotional, because sometimes I hardly ever see him cry, because he just has this super strong facade. And seeing a black man break down like that over their child, it made me emotional, you know? And it's like Superman, and that his son was his kryptonite, and it just hit him. And it was,
come on, kryptonite.
Right?
Jalen.
So I got to watch a lot of the clip when I got into the office, and I was watching a lot of the clip, and it was crazy, because this is somebody that I know, you know. I got to know him. I got to know both of them actually really well. And to see how he was pushing even after the fact of him getting his altercation, and then coming to the office and still trying to put a smile on his face and just trying to have fun with us, it hits, because it's like, man, he, even with this thing that happened to him, he's still pushing through it, and they still trying to be strong for everybody, even though how he's physically feeling. And I just feel like the school was more concerned about the negative publicity that they were getting, because the video went viral, instead of the safety of the kid. Because I don't know if you know, they sent the paramedics away.
They did.
What?
They sent the paramedics away, saying that he just passed out, not mentioning that he got knocked in the head twice and kicked in the face.
The school officials basically lied to them on site, saying that he passed out.
He was having breathing trouble.
That he was having breathing troubles, and Mr. Kwame had to take him to the hospital himself instead of in an ambulance. So I just feel like, but they weren't showing the same. They were showing a different energy for the people that were getting texted the videos. They were trying to have everybody delete the video. So they had more concern for the video instead of the child that had just been assaulted.
And I don't like
Wait,
it.
they made him get up. They made him
Oh yeah,
sit
sit up.
walk to a table in the cafeteria while he has just been hit
Hit in
twice.
the head.
He could have internal bleeding. Y'all don't know what's going on.
We don't.
He looked fine though, right?
He looked fine.
Like
so
you're a
they sent him
doctor. Like,
Mhm.
and I don't like when incidents happen in schools and they apologize to the public before they apologize to the family.
Yeah.
What the public got to do with this? Come to the families first, if anything.
And so we spend a lot of our time explaining to districts why they need to show care, compassion, and concern. It's like talking to a bunch of test dummies. And I'm going to use that instead of what I really want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Because you have emotionally vacant people leading districts where we send our prized possessions to. And then when something happens, like Jalen said, they are more concerned about their school's image than the lives of these babies. And that's where we're always going to have a problem.
Absolutely.
I didn't see any school officials at the hospital when I showed up that night. I didn't see any school officials the next week. I have yet to see school officials show up to check on this child. What they did, because I went to the school board meeting and they can rewind it, they can pull the dates. When I told them what happened with this child, I was called a liar. I was gaslit. I was told that, they sent one of the school board members to my office. He told me he checked with the superintendent. The superintendent told him that they did call the parents. They never called his father. His father is the custodial parent. They never called his father. His father got a call from a child who was on the campus. Then it was like, oh no, the father sent the ambulance away. Why would the father send the ambulance away if he knew his child was hit twice in the head with a fire extinguisher based on what a child on campus told him? So it's just this, deflect, lie, deflect, cover up, lie, deflect. And then, so he goes to the school board meeting. Now, all of a sudden, people are calling him. How many months later? At least 2, maybe 3.
Oh, wow.
About two.
Now they're calling him. Now they want to know what they can do for the family. Now they want to say, how's your son doing? You have to be told to be a human being and to check on people. I'm offended.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I'm absolutely offended.
Absolutely.
And he was just one parent at that meeting. At that meeting, you also had a parent of a 10-year-old girl who the teacher grabbed her from behind and was holding on to her. And the para pried keys out of her hand. Now, this is a baby with autism. I don't know if y'all know about autistic children.
Yes. I
But
have
you
2
cannot
nieces.
cut off
No.
their exits, and you cannot get them to do things in the way that you may engage children without that specific disability. It's a bunch of boneheads in these districts. Not only that, there was a mother there whose child on the first hot day of the summer, 105 degrees, splashed water on himself, and they charged him with vandalism.
Like that makes sense.
Vandalism. Talking about he created a hazard because he splashed water on himself and somebody could have come into the bathroom and slipped. A bunch of morons. And so then we come in there and we start asking questions and everybody wants to act stupid. Like the 2 teachers the teacher and the para over at Sheldon High School, calling kids niggers in classes. We go in there. One of the advocates say, tell us what you say to us, what you said to the children. All of a sudden, people got sense. Oh, I'm not going to say that. Why are you not going to say it now? You was big and bad with the babies.
Right.
Go ahead and say it. We all want to know, what was the lesson? I said, what page were you on?
Yeah.
Because I pulled the book. What page were you on? What part of the lesson? Only to find out. So the district released a statement, said that this teacher was discussing the doggone it. What's the name of the book? Real quick. Their eyes were watching God.
Yeah, their eyes watching God.
They were
The Halle Berry movie?
No. Zora Neale Hurston. Their eyes were watching God, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What page were you on? Crickets. What part of the lesson were you on? Oh, I was on a pre-lesson. We hadn't even opened the book. So you got a whole pre-lesson. I'm going to need that document that you handed the children. I have yet to get the document. So again, how they engage our children and what we're going to do as the adults to stand in the gap to take some of these hits that these
Mhm.
babies are receiving, because they really don't want it. They don't want no smoke for real. They want to play with these children. They want to frustrate the children because there's an unequal power imbalance, right?
Right.
And so you have the teachers doing what they're doing,
Mhm.
and then you have the administration responding in the way that they're responding. Then you have the superintendent, who I'm going to just go on to my next point. And then you have the school board members. That is their only employee, the superintendent, and can't nobody give anybody direction. So, with your staff, do you plan on giving some direction to your staff in terms of what you want to see when an issue arises?
Absolutely.
What can we count on you for? Because I'm pissed at this point.
No, not only will you be able to, not only will I be responsible, but my staff will be too. I plan on being a hands-on working council person. So yes, I'll have staff. Yes, sometimes staff will be there in my place, but you can best believe that I'm going to be there also and working. So no, people will have direct contact with me.
And just because you're not on the school board, there are meetings called 2x2s or some sort of thing.
I
that y'all do?
believe, well, there are some, so I don't know exactly what that is, but I know there are times where like county and city officials meet together
Mhm.
to work on stuff together. But I don't know but I would assume it would be the same thing for maybe some of the school boards if we're near them,
Mhm.
that we would work on something, putting stuff together.
Yeah, because I know here
But I
in
don't
Elk
know.
Grove, I know they have 2x2s with and it's the school board and the city council people.
Okay.
And they may include county people too, because we're in the county of Sacramento. So we'll have to look into that. But there
Yeah.
are things
No,
that can be done.
Absolutely.
Because this is some foolishness, and I'm just about had it with these people.
No, I agree. Like I said, I had a kid in Sac City, so if I had to stand in the gap for her, and I just couldn't imagine there not being somebody to be an advocate for my kid. So I'm sure that there are a ton of kids who didn't have that.
Yeah. And so we just want to make sure that the families of this community and other communities know that we are education advocates here at Black Youth Leadership Project. Should you be experiencing an issue in your school district and you need a little bit of support, we are right here waiting for you to give us, don't call us. Go ahead and go to the website and file a complaint, because that's what they're going to tell you if you call.
Yeah.
I was going to say call us, don't call us. Go ahead and go to the website and file a complaint, www.bylp.org/complaints. But I have to, before we get out of here, I have to go to this teacher over at Cordova High School.
Oh, snap.
He cussed them out real good. And of course, we don't expect any teachers to go off on their students in that way. We expect them to exhibit professionalism, especially if they're Black, because they're always going to be judged harsher.
Yeah.
But you had a chance to see the video. Did you see the video?
I did.
Talk to me. What are you seeing?
So the only thing I seen that was wrong with it was the language that he used, because he's a teacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
only
And the
'cause
way
he's a
he
teacher.
said it. What he was saying made perfect sense, because I'm from that neighborhood. I went to Cordova for a year, and I went back last year and seen how the kids at Mills were acting.
Uh-huh.
And what they were telling me is
Was that was pre-COVID, right?
no, that was the year after, like,
The real
coming back from
coming
COVID.
back from
So
COVID.
he
Oh,
was saying,
Lord.
I was talking to I'm still good friends with the people up there, and they were telling me it's bad up there. Like, they have people going up to the McDonald's up there, stepping on people's cars. Like, they are.
I wish
it's
somebody would
bad.
step
No,
on my car.
It's bad up there right now. So I can only imagine what they were doing, and what he was saying wasn't. It was good, but the way he said it was not good.
Okay.
Yeah. First looking at the video, I had to see who was in the right and who was in the wrong, because right off the bat there was a whole lot of cussing, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm looking at my mom. She's just looking at me. I'm like, what's going on?
Because
here?
I don't want to tell her what to think. I just want to show it.
Yeah.
And so I had to like contemplate, and I was very much just like, Mom, what's going on here? Like, but so my first reaction to it was, because he is a teacher, there was a different route that he could take. The language he was using, I wouldn't really cuss, just it makes you look really bad.
Right.
And so if you're going to handle a situation, handle it more professionally. But I understand that this might have been a teacher who was very liked by all, who's always very personal with his students. So he thought that in this moment he could be personal with them. And you could also tell, by the way, another student walked in, and though he was cussing at some other kids, he also cussed at this kid talking about I'm hotter than fried chicken. I was like, oh, and he said, turn that ish off. But the student didn't take it offense. He just like, hey,
He just sat down. Sit down.
And so I kind of got to realize that it was less of his fault and more of, there was obviously a reaction. There was a what do you call it? Cause and effect. Something had to happen for this teacher to pop off like that, especially if he is known as somebody who is liked by a whole bunch of students. Now, do I think that he shouldn't be held accountable? Of course, I feel like he should be held accountable, but let's not move around the fact that he's not the bad guy here. Like, there's two sides to every story, and I feel like other teachers might judge him harshly because of how he handled the situation. But I think, as far as I know, they send the bad kids over to his class because they can't handle them. So it's like, don't judge him for how he handled the situation when y'all let go because y'all couldn't do it.
If I remember correctly, Mills is 6 through 8.
Yes, it is.
So it's
when we were
ages,
there,
right?
it was 7 to 9. No, yes, it
6
was
to
7 to 9 because
7 to
Cordova
9.
was 10 through 12.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You got to whisper in the back.
Yeah,
He
9.
whispering. That's Mr. DeLay over there whispering in the
it's
corner.
7 to 9 then.
No,
7 to 9.
And
six
them
to
middle
eight.
schoolers,
It's
6
6
to 8
to 8
now.
now.
Yeah, 6 to
Okay.
8 now. 9 to 12.
Nine to
and
12,
middle
yeah.
schoolers is crazy, and so I'm not even.
I
gonna
went to
judge,
Albert
but-
Einstein. We were only 7 through 8. We were a little different.
And I want to get Sam in here. Sam, did you see the video that we're talking about?
No.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to send you that video. But basically, this teacher was recorded, and he was going off on his class. It sounded like maybe somebody had said something to him, and he was responding. He responded like an old uncle in the South. He let them all have it. And so, I believe that teachers should be held accountable, but I want them to have the same energy they have with white teachers who say the N word.
Oh yeah.
And they are given grace. What say you, Sam?
I would agree that like you give like white teachers that say the N word, they get paid leave.
Yeah.
They get respectfully fired, or they get a job at a different school.
No, yeah.
You said respectfully fired?
Like they're not gonna trash them. They're gonna be like, well, we put them on administrative leave.
Or
They give them a letter of recommendation at their other school. They be like, they have good teaching habits.
So they're giving some grace, and they're giving a soft place to land, right?
Yep.
Okay. And so we want that same energy?
Yup.
I just don't like hypocrites. That's all.
I want to add a point because you brought up that you said that he felt like they were he can get personal with them, and I feel like that should be one of the best teachers that you should have. Is somebody who you can get that can be personable with you,
of course.
And
but let me challenge that.
Okay.
Because the teachers over at Sheldon felt that they could call these kids.
Okay, that's not
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what they said.
Okay.
The teacher at Sheldon who called that kid a nigger in her class said, "I thought our relationship was better than this."
Wait,
yeah, but that's just
know your
just
place.
Wait, that's just plain ignorant stuff. Wait,
that's not even.
That's
I have enough comments.
That's ignorant.
Sam is telling us that our mic has static on it. Is that what Sam is saying? That's what Sam is saying.
Oh, is it? Okay. So can I
go ahead?
It's like
I have enough.
Crackling.
Okay.
I have enough common sense to know that if me and a person's relationship is super strong, I'm not gonna still call them out of like. I feel like that's what's wrong. If you don't learn or if you don't teach the right history, they feel like they can do or say whatever they want. And I think somebody had said that, they better get used to the word. I'm like, get used to the N word.
Wait.
That was the paraprofessional.
Said that they better get used to being called the N word.
There's some static on the microphones. That's what they're saying.
Get used to the N word.
Get used to it. but they like to have this high regard for the F word or any other slur.
Right.
But the N word, oh, just get used to it.
Interesting.
Why should I have to get used to that? And like I had said, it doesn't matter how personal me and another person are. I know to respect them. Like, it doesn't matter how personal we may be. Respect always comes first. I'm not going to call you out of your name and then ha ha hee hee ha ha. Like, no, it's not a joke.
Right.
That's where I think the two
differ
is one was a lack of respect and one was just poor choice of words.
Poor choice of words.
And are you saying that because one is a white teacher
No.
and the other is a black teacher?
No.
Because that's what people will say.
I'm saying that because one
was the
got
N-word
called
used
the N-word.
in the other?
No.
Okay, then that's two different freeways.
And nobody was called out of their name.
Okay.
It was just
Well, he did say, well.
Okay.
He did say some student's name, and he said this student was placed in my class because she couldn't get along with other teachers. So
that's what he said?
That's what the teacher said.
In the video?
What did he say too? Really?
Oh.
Wait, that's
Yeah. Interesting.
Well,
it looks like, and I hate to cut it off, but we are over.
we definitely are. I'm looking at the time. I was like,
let's keep going.
And they're telling me that we got static, so we're gonna cut it off. And we're gonna see what the heck happened. It might be, I don't know what it was. But thank you for joining us here at Black versus the Board of Education. We want to thank you, our special guest, Ms. Tamiko Heim. We invite you to come and sit in with us anytime.
Holla at me. Y'all got me.
Yeah.
I'll be a panelist.
Awesome. And with that, we're going to hit y'all with the wave. We'll catch you next Monday right here. It's Halloween tricks or treats.
Oh, yeah.
Next week, we'll think about dressing up. I'm not really with Halloween.
I'm
but
dressing
we'll
up.
See what's going on.
I'm about to be dressed as Dorothy from The Wiz.
Oh, come on, Dorothy from The Wiz. You said what, Sam?
I don't celebrate Halloween.
I ain't got to celebrate to dress up and look nice and have fun.
When I went to church, I did have to do.
celebrate
We did have my hair.
No, we don't celebrate it. We just have fun.
Yeah, I don't go out. I ain't been out in a whole long time. And Jada always went to harvest festivals because we just still wanted her to get candy, I guess. I don't know.
There's some trunk or treats next week in District 5 all over the place.
So no, I don't do haunted houses. No, ma'am.
I'm gonna serve my piece.
So with that, we're gonna hit you with the wave. Go ahead, Sam. Start us off. Jada.
Me? Oh,
Miss Tamiko.
Right. I'm like, what you mean?
Okay. I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't mean to skip you.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sam.
Did it?
Okay.
Yeah.
We will see you next week right here, Facebook and YouTube at 4:30, and we'll get our mics together. Whole move, baby.